Scene 10, shot 6, take 1.
It's been a long time in the making, but Head of the Table is here, so let's get into it. The earliest concept for this film came about when I wanted to do something with a human angle, something deeply rooted in grief and the decaying of someone's mind who's undergoing this traumatic mental breakdown. That was the human angle. For all of that to work, it was heavily reliant on there being a strong protagonist for us to follow, and the beginning and the end of this stage of writing was creating the character Paul Costello.
Paul Costello is the typical mob boss. You look at the classics, Michael Corleone, Tony Soprano. That's who Costello is, but he's a hands-on guy. So when something needs to get done, he's gonna do it. A lot of times. I mean, he's got his crew, but he's a ruthless, cutthroat guy who doesn't take shit for anything.
Framing this character as a mob boss unlocked so many ideas for writing. I took inspiration for this from how I grew up in a small town in New York. There was always talk about 20, 30 years ago, these mob crime bosses living in this area, going to the restaurants that we went to, living on the same streets that we did. And hearing these stories growing up were like campfire stories, whether it was real or not real, it was still super interesting to hear.
But just thinking about the role and getting into this guy's head about being ruthless, being, hands-on, being like a guy who's going to take care of that, because he wants to make sure it's done right. I think that's where my preparation came through.
This character, Paul Costello, going through mental illness and now diving into this deep state of psychosis, it really helped me make the story write itself. As the film progresses, we see him go through these different memories in his head and leaves the viewer questioning what was real and what wasn't. How did he get here and what did I just watch? That's when the story really came to life on the page. When starting pre-production for this film, a lot of ideas were being thrown down that didn't seem completely possible, and this was where it was one of those times where we either have to stay the same and just keep creating the same thing over and over again, or take that next step to getting better. When I showed the rest of the cast and crew the initial script, it was receiving notes like, this is really cool, but how are we gonna do a lot of these things? And that's where pre-production comes in, and overall just doing as much planning as we could before we actually got onto the set.
The delivery guy will recognize you.
So I'll wear a mask!
That'll look suspicious. He'll know something's up.
I'll tell him to leave it at the fucking door! What do you want from me?
When you run out of food, you'll have to go out.
I want a delivery.
The delivery guy will recognize you.
So I'll wear a mask.
That'll look suspicious. He'll know something's up.
I'll get him to leave it at the doorstep.
So Vincent came to me with the script of Head of the Table. When he brought that up, I was going through a list of people I keep track of that are in the area, that are interested, or, I just meet. And Ron stood out for sure. He was on an episode of The Sopranos, excellent Italian actor. He just crushed the audition. Ron was a no-brainer. We brought Alexandra in for his wife. She had auditioned previously. She's always advertised herself as a huge fan of Buried Hatchet, so what a thrill to have her on set, honestly.
Pretty good. I'm very excited to be on set. I've been wanting to work with Buried Hatchet Productions for such a long time because I've been a super fan, and I finally get to be on set and kind of being a super fan girl, but playing it cool.
Because of how the story was playing out, we're focusing on this character who's on the run and is most likely who is going from state to state, staying in motels, trying not to get himself caught, trying to keep his identity as undiscoverable as possible during this time. And so having the film take place in a motel room was crucial. Due to the extremes that we were going with this film, it wasn't exactly in our cars to film in a real room like this, so that's when we went to set building to make this happen. We fully fleshed out the sketch for this building and built it over the course of a couple days, and that's when this really started to come to life, where now we were seeing the motel room and everything was really starting to come together at this point. Arguably the most challenging aspect about this whole entire film was the car crash scene. As this film progresses, we are flowing through different memories of Paul's past, and one of them that was very crucial was his wife. From the earliest version of the script, I knew that having the wife talk to Paul in this very discreet way was going to play a major role in how the film progressed, and before seeing any of that, I really wanted to see her death scene, how she got here, what happened, and something that just kept sticking with me was the car crash. I went to our set builder, Terry, and I asked him, how could we do this? Do you have a spare car or anything that we would be able to destroy for this? And luckily, he did actually have a spare car that we were able to destroy. We were able to rig the car up on a trailer and slant it down into a tree, and then we proceeded to wreck the car completely to make it feel like it was actually in a crash.
All right. Breaking stuff. All right. Nice. Oh. Yeah. It's hanging off.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Should be sitting right there.
The finishing touch was the tree branch through the windshield that sealed the wife's fate. And visually, this was one of the most stunning things I've ever had the pleasure of working on. And truly one of those moments where you think back to months ago writing the script, thinking, how are we going to get this done, to now being on set and seeing it happen is just an awesome feeling. I really wanted to go deeper into Paul's past and show scenes where he was getting violent, and that's where the fight scene really came to life. For this, Preston was the stunt coordinator as well as the other actor in the fight scene, and this was very interesting because they were able to really flesh this fight scene out and go about it a couple times before we even rolled.
An overhook, right? So it's doing that whole thing where it's like twisting my elbow up, hurts, I can't do anything, and you're doing that. You're gonna grab my neck. We're gonna do a big turn here. Boom, boom, boom. And you throw me. This is just where you come up to me, grab my collar, pull me up, and you just start kind of bang, bang, bang. And it should be like 2 shots of that. And that's it. I've thrown this hook here, boom, but so you block and you're gonna do a little overhook here. Yep, right there. And so then you grab the neck.
Oh, like this and just what?
And then
So
into
that
the
you're
tree.
gonna kind of do a spin, right? Where you spin me around, pop, 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 and throw me into this tree. Something like this where you do it.
You're gonna jump.
And
If you jump up. maybe.
I'm hoping you're throwing me, so you're not holding me the whole time. You let go of me, and I'm here. Right there. And so I end up on the ground. Right here.
Oh,
All right.
Right, that whole thing. Mash that punch. You grab me, spin around this way. Yep.
so how are you feeling about this stunt today?
Pretty good. I think I saw it on Instagram, so
Nice.
we're gonna try it out.
First real stunt work we've done other than
for
wires.
VHP. Yeah.
So this is pretty cool. It's nice. We're doing some horror, some real horror mixed with some stunt work. It's pretty cool.
About time.
Yeah.
For the final shot of the film, I knew that I wanted to fully show Paul hanging and swinging inside of this closet and try not to cheat it at all, or at least to a very minimum extent.
Admittedly, I was a little bit nervous for it, a little bit. You know, Ron's a big guy, but the way we have the wire set up and the rig set up, we had it connected to the motor that we used for the ceiling. So we were able to use that. We didn't have to, worry about our manpower hoisting up this 250-pound man. But it ended up working out really well. The harness did well. I think there's a little more research that I want to, just kind of look into to see different ways to make it a little more comfortable and applicable to everybody. But I think the shot looks great and it turned out really well.
And action. Drop. Making this feel brutal and real, as if he was really hanging and swinging in there, was very important. I think the approach we went for it was as realistic as we could get on our budget. I think it did what it had to do for this film. Early on, I started communicating with Steven, who was the DP for this film, and we started discussing the look that we were trying to achieve for this. I really wanted to go for something grungy, since we're dealing with a motel room and different decrepit victims and fighting. The look of grunge was very important throughout our process and trying to achieve that.
For me, every time you do a shoot, it's an excuse to test something, to do something new, to challenge yourself. And that's why, when Vincent does these shoots, I'm just like, okay, well, what's the cool shot? I know you have a cool shot plan. He's like, explains the kitchen table shot from this one. I'm like, let's do it. That sounds really cool.
Filming these were very much like theater performances, where you have a lot of different people with very small jobs, tweaking little things such as lowering the knob of a light and moving back a set piece to make it seem like all one cohesive movement. Seeing these lighting changes go from pre-visualization to the final shots were just extremely awesome to see, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. One of the earliest pre-production tasks for this film was figuring out what our antagonists are going to look like. I knew I wanted there to be somewhere between 3 and 5, and we ended up settling on 3. Early communication with Grayce was very important because we were able to establish different ways that we were going to achieve these effects. Communicating through my concept art and her testing was very important and got these makeup looks to where they were in the final film. Grayce single-handedly achieved all of these makeup looks by herself on this shoot, and you would think she had a full team behind her, but she didn't. And that just goes to show her talent, and we're very thankful to have had her on this film.
Thank you, seriously, for watching all of our stuff and supporting everything that we do. We love it, and it wouldn't be where we're at without you guys. We've grown a lot. The channel has, started from nothing to now it's something, so appreciate all the support. Please continue helping us out, and we'll continue to make some good films for you.
Just been really awesome, really talented, really passionate about the work, and I think that's what makes it one of the best crews to work with, honestly. It's not about the money, it's just about making the best product that you can, and I think that every time the product does evolve, and we're just getting closer and closer to achieving everything that we want to achieve every time,
This film could not have been made possible without the tremendous efforts of all of the cast and the crew, our post-production team, our main production team, and so many of these aspects came to life thanks to all of these hardworking people who worked on this film. So check out Head of the Table, streaming now.